And we continue here in Indianapolis, Scouting Combine Tuesday. Joining us now, man entering his fourth year as general manager of the Bears.
Fourth year?
Ryan Poles. Time
Damn.
flies, doesn't it?
Yep. Time goes real fast.
I remember the first time we had him. It was you and Matt Eberflus together.
Giving us a
Yep.
tag team, doing it all. Now he's all professional with a new Bears logo and just coming up here with gear we've never seen before.
Yep.
So, how do you feel about the team right now, this very moment?
Feel good. I feel good. We got a lot of guys that are hungry to have success, and they're excited about the moves that we've made and bringing Ben into the staff and onto the staff as the head coach. I can tell by the text that I get from all the guys, when it went down, and those texts. I mean, it got even more. The volume got higher once he was hiring his staff. There's really a lot of excitement and hunger for the guys to get back and get going. They really feel like we can take the next step, and then obviously we have a lot of opportunity with the cap space that we have and the draft picks. To move the needle and get this thing where it needs to be.
Right. What is it that impressed you? I mean, I'm a huge fan of Ben Johnson, right? And what is it? I mean, at first it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion, and then I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen, and then it happened.
Yeah.
But what was it for you that made you fall in love?
Well, I think when you played Detroit, over the years, and you see his just overall feel for play calling, you can tell that he's going to bring a competitive edge to your offense. And then when you get to meet him, just highly intelligent, very good communicator, clear vision. And then I really believe that his relationship with Caleb is going to be able to take this thing to the next level. And obviously, that's going to be a journey in itself for a young quarterback to adapt to a new system. But I'll go back to just the way Ben communicates. I think we're going to be able to really get Caleb where he needs to be and elevate this whole team.
Right.
The vacancy emerged the day after Thanksgiving, and the Bears embarked on a very lengthy, thorough, exhaustive, few, if any, stone unturned search. But then, when it was time to move, you moved. Help us understand how that happened, where it really did seem to be a slow process that all of a sudden hit high gear and you got your guy.
Yeah. I think that same mindset really goes to anything that you do in my area of work, if it's the draft, if it's free agency, if it's a trade, it's making sure you're very diligent with all the information gathering, all the research, making sure that everything's lined up. And then when opportunity strikes and you got to hit the gas and really trigger on it and you go. So we really wanted to do it the right way. A lot of research, background checks, phone calls. I wanted to make sure that we had a holistic view on every candidate that we interviewed to make the best decision possible. The beautiful thing is, and we even graded every single criteria on a matrix, and had football people, non-football, some in the actual room, some outside of the room, to take kind of all the biases out of it. And the beautiful thing is, Ben ended up coming out at the very top, and didn't expect him to be available as soon as he was. But we were able to trigger and bring him in. And the cool thing is he wanted to be in Chicago too, which was great.
Right.
So if they beat the Commanders that night, you're waiting for him? You knew at that point he was your guy?
So that we would just continue our process through that week until that window opened back up where we could interview.
You weren't going to
again.
hire anybody until you got to talk to him and do it, is basically what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And he did such a good job on the front end. He really earned that patience to make sure that we had the opportunity to sit down with him and interview.
You brought up the quarterback. I'd love for you to assess him. I'm a big fan of him and his talent.
Yeah.
But assess him, and then also on top of that, if you don't mind, tell us where you think Ben can help him out a lot.
Yeah, I'll go down to the foundation. I think, and I mentioned this before, I think there's probably some steps skipped in the very beginning, just in terms of building the foundation.
Gotcha.
Some of the things that you have to have and what I believe to operate at a high level in this league, even as a rookie. And I think that was accelerated probably a little bit much
Just
for him.
because you wanted to get him in there and get him starting and see him playing.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
And with that, some of those things, as you know, as the league studies and figures things out, it gets exposed as you go along.
Right.
But what you saw was his talent show up countless throughout the entire season, especially in critical moments. That was the most important thing for me to take away from the season. In those critical moments, could he elevate his game? And And unfortunately, a lot of those we didn't finish the game for whatever reason. But you saw him elevate and put us in a position to win, and I think we're going to be able to hold on to that, and that's going to show up as we move into the future.
Yeah. You think Ben can implement some of those little things and get him on track of bad habits or tells in his game or whatever else?
Yeah, Ben will not allow bad habits to continue on. So
right,
it will be called out. It will be dealt with before we move on to the next thing. And I have a lot of confidence in that.
Yeah, you grinned when you said it because you're like, he knows what he's in store for. He's going to get yelled at a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
With the Lions offense under Ben Johnson, we got to the point where it was expect the unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's going to be for the Bears offense, expect the unexpected?
Well, I think we all look at the Lions this past season. I think you got to go back a few years and see where it started and how it's built up. So I really think there's got to be a foundation set before all the bells and whistles can start going off. And I think we got to do the basics really well first. And I'm sure Ben will say the same thing when he's up here. So we got to start there and then build into it where we can start to throw those wrinkles in. But what I love is it reminds there's only a few play callers that remind me of Ben when it comes to just understanding the flow of the game, almost the emotional intelligence of calling plays as well. So we'll get there. How fast we get there, I'm not sure. That's probably a better question for Ben.
Yeah. All right. I like this question. I've asked one other GM so far, but for you, what's the hardest position to evaluate? I know they're all hard, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe annoying or whatever. What's the one where there's just a lot of variables where it's a lot of work to go through it?
Safeties.
You're the second person to say that.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of touch points. When you watch offensive linemen, every play can be graded.
Right.
Safeties, their involvement is sporadic.
Right.
And I also think there's, if you just look at production, the ball can kind of find them.
Yeah, get lucky.
There's a little luck there. It gets even harder when there's guys where, maybe they don't have traits and there's a lot of luck, and then you start to wonder, is it just them putting themselves in a really good position?
Yeah,
so
right.
It takes a lot of tape to get to the bottom of it.
Right. How about O-line? You're an ex-O-lineman. Do you feel like you know some things maybe another GM doesn't or have an advantage there?
Yeah, I think anyone that's played a position probably knows, the little details that they can pick up on to evaluate better. If it's offensive lineman and it's, the interior guys and the mental quickness you got to have, you kind of look at the eyes and see how they adjust. Something goes away, and then boom, they come back to something coming to them. So you can almost feel that from your own reps that you've taken.
Yeah, sure.
Which is important. But that's why, you rely on all your scouts to have different, expertise in different areas.
Right. One more quick one, because I think back to last year. Caleb Williams was believed to be the consensus #1 overall pick. Jaden Daniels not far behind him. When was the moment that you knew that Caleb Williams was your guy? What was the instant where your brain said, this is our guy?
It's just, I don't know if there was one specific moment, but after just watching tape, there's so many wild plays that got you excited about the potential of the player. It just happened too often where you're like, all right, if we can get this guy right, and do the basics right, then the sky's the limit. And the cool thing is we saw that play out throughout the season. So, again, once we get that foundation set up, I think we're in store for something special.
Like when you were here last year, did you already have a feel like, I think I'm going to go there? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just would love to be inside your mind a little bit. Were you already leaning Caleb? Like not decision, but already feeling that way?
As you watch tape, you have kind of favorites, but you got to remind yourself, you don't want to get caught up in just using one little glimpse of tape. You got to really have the whole picture and go through the process and spend time and continue to do the research to feel really good about it. And that's what we did. But, when you go through this process, there's guys that I can't wait to interview and watch because I love their tape. But there's more work to be done after this.
He's got his quarterback. He's got his coach. He's going to go looking for other players to fill out the roster. Ryan Poles, thanks for some of your time. All the best.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We'll be back from Indy with more. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.